Hello, everyone. Today we have Lee with us. Lee is a certified success coach. Lee is a business development director as well as success coach. And he's worked in education in higher education for over 20 years now. He's helped numerous students and early professionals to develop their academic, their co-curricular, life and career goals. So Lee, thank you so much for being here. I'm happy that I have this time to be able to talk with you and pick your brain a little bit.
Thank you for having me, James.
Yeah. So I'm wondering, Lee, can you just tell us a little bit about your work? And I'd love to hear about your journey, kind of what got you to being where you are right now.
Absolutely. Again, thank you so much for having me today. And as you mentioned, I was in higher education for over 20 years and working with students to help them overcome obstacles, make sure that they accomplish their academic and co-curricular and personal and career goals. So that was like my favorite part about the job, helping others, helping students in this case. And so I wanted to figure out, okay, what could I do that would allow me to still have that impact on people? And I found that coaching would allow me to do that. And, I feel like it's the perfect opportunity to do so these days. And it's, I just love it. It's amazing to see how people find their voice, find their purpose, find their passion, and I'm there along for the ride, and helping guide them and sometimes motivate them if needed.
And I'm thinking as you're saying all this, gosh, the world needs you, right? As we're going through, graduations and high school going into college going into their careers. As I'm thinking about all this, I'm thinking not only needing the guidance and the support from you for education purposes, for people starting their careers, but also the parents that are kind of navigating and trying to support their children going through this, their young adult children going through this. There's a lot of things that could be overwhelming.
Definitely. Yeah, it can be very overwhelming, whether you're in college or just graduating, or even for early professionals. And, I think the family members, they want to help out as much as possible. Sometimes, the students can find that to be sometimes stressful, and I understand that. But, I think the family members have really positive and good intention. So I don't want to discount their role in this. But it's important, for students to find out what they want to do. What are their passions? Where do they want to make an impact? Do they want to work in finance, consulting, sports, entertainment, fashion? Do they want to start their own company? And so these questions that I will ask my clients, where do you see yourself? Like when you close your eyes and you vision, or you create a vision for yourself of where would you want to be and where would you be happiest? And I want them to, figure that out. And again, their first job, and I always stress this to my graduating seniors, from college, their first job out of college is not going to be their last job. And so they're going to, in their lifetime, they will be in different industries, different companies. So again, this is not the end of their career in terms of their first job. And I think sometimes students stress themselves out to find the perfect job out of school.
Absolutely. Because I think many people have expectations and thoughts. I know I'm working with a few people right now. When I graduate, this is what I thought things would look like. And I'm just hearing the questions that you're already asking. Gosh, I could have benefited from that. As you're saying that, I'm thinking it's exciting, but it's also overwhelming. It can be stressful. And your approach just kind of allows them to kind of navigate through this process and feel like they have the support.
Thank you. Yes. I mean, I would say, thinking about my clients, I have one person in mind. This person just graduated from college. And when I was working with them, they had a 10-year plan. And while I thought that was really awesome in one sense, I wanted to stress to them that they also need to be open-minded and have a
Mm,
growth mindset, because when we think about it, there will be new industries, new careers that we're not even thinking about today. 5 years ago, would we have thought that AI would be such a hot topic, or machine learning, or data analytics?
absolutely.
And so, while it's nice to have an idea of where you want to be 5, 10 years from now, I think it's so important to be flexible and to be open to
Growth,
new
change,
ideas.
new ideas.
Absolutely.
This is I love that you're saying that because it gives us a different spin and a way to think about things. As we're talking, I'm wondering what are kind of the first steps that if somebody was to work with you, what would that look like?
Sure. So I would say I say this with all my clients, James. This is their time. I want them to get out of the sessions what they want. And so I will always ask my clients at the beginning of the session, what would you like to focus on today? And what would you like to leave the session with? And so I want to put them in the driver's seat. I will, again, help them. I will guide them. I will motivate them. I will give them feedback and um, serve as their accountability partner, but they need to drive the agenda. I would say the first step is thinking about their goals, both short-term and long-term goals. And to go a little bit more micro, what are their goals of this session today? What do they want to leave with? What do they want to work on in subsequent sessions?
Which is the focus of coaching. I kind of do dual roles. So for therapy, I love what you're saying too, because we say it's client centered when I'm doing therapy with clients, really focusing on them. And then the life coaching or the success coaching, really kind of helping them kind of map out their goals, what they'd like to get. Again, keeping it very focused and centered, as you said beautifully, they're behind the driver's seat and looking at where they want to go with this.
Absolutely.
I love all of this. I'm thinking, what would be a good piece of advice? What would you? So I'm hearing the questions and getting them going. What would be a good piece of advice that you would give to your clients, Lee?
Sure. It's a great question. I would say to be kind to themselves,
Mm,
especially, where we are today, both the job market and then geopolitical issues. There's a lot going on. And on top of that, there's that stress about trying to figure out my life, trying to figure out what I want in my career, what I want in my personal life,
mhm.
and to show themselves kindness. They can be kind to others, but they also need to be kind to themselves. um, and sometimes that can be really difficult, to show, give them their own personal grace.
Absolutely. I'm going to insert, I'm glad you're saying that, Lee. I'm going to insert patience into that as well, because the reality is, as you go through this, I'm hearing you say there's more than what meets the eye, right? In terms of the stressors or the things that we take on. Not only is it dealing with your career, but it's also dealing with this idea or concept around transitions and where we're going to live and things related to that nature that we consider as well.
Definitely. Yeah, 100%. I think we can be our own self critics, and we can have these self sabotaging behaviors and thoughts. And so, what I also want to stress to my clients is, as much as you can, and will help them achieve this to an extent, but they need to work on it themselves, is to quiet down those voices that say they
Mm,
can't, or they shouldn't, or I don't have the skills, or I don't have the charisma to do XYZ. So as much as they can, to quiet those thoughts and to minimize those behaviors.
absolutely. I mean, that's probably the best advice. I mean, not just with career counseling or shifting from school to careers, just life, right? Because that little voice gets in our head and it can really interfere, those negative thoughts.
Absolutely. And I think, as coaches, we can help our clients overcome those hurdles and those self saboteurs. Um, and it takes work, for the client, but it can be achieved. And so that's something that I think is also really important to, think about what are your self-sabotaging behaviors and thoughts, and how do you overcome them? What are
So
the
knowing
steps?
them, being aware of them at first, right?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Absolutely. So Lee, for listeners that are eager to make some positive change and really get things started, what kind of advice or steps could they take to kick off this journey, to jumpstart this journey for themselves?
sure. Another great question. I would say a few things. Set SMART goals. These are specific and measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound goals.
Mm.
So that is the first step. And I would say step/advice would be, remember, you don't need to take giant leaps. You can start small, but stay consistent. So I'll give you an example. If one of your goals is to go to bed earlier on a nightly basis, try going to bed early one night per week for the first couple of weeks, and see how that goes.
Breaking it
And then
down.
yeah, exactly. And add another day or a night. And maybe, in a month or so, you'll be at, 4 or 5. And also, don't beat yourself up if, you slip up and you don't accomplish that goal for one week.
I'm sure people are going to appreciate that. We're so similar in so many ways. When I work with people, I tell them, for example, if you're going to go to the gym, that idea can be overwhelming. And so I tell people, I want you just to drive to the parking lot and sit there for a few minutes.
I
And
love that.
the next step may be you're going to go to the gym and you're going to go in for 15 minutes. I only want 15 minutes. You're going to check it out, maybe hop on a treadmill, elliptical. After 15 minutes, get out. Because what you're describing is this idea of building confidence, right? And motivation. And as you said beautifully, consistency.
Absolutely. I love that idea.
Yeah,
Many people
we
struggle.
we can talk for hours. I'd love to do a follow-up because here's the reality. We can talk about the steps to take to keep this moving forward. We can talk about this from the perspective of how family members, parents can support their students and young adults as they're getting into careers. We can talk about the next steps for education. We can talk about the next steps for young professionals. I mean, there's so many levels and parts to all of this that we can break down and simplify and help people.
I 100% agree with you. Yes.
But I just want to give you a chance. I know this is a quick podcast, but anything that you feel you'd like to add or something that you feel is really important that maybe we didn't get to address?
Sure. I think, what you were saying about going to the gym and going to the parking lot, starting small and gradually increase that time is so perfect. The one thing that, what a person may need to think about or may want to incorporate is an incentive system. And the incentives don't need to be costly. It could be something like, I'm going to give myself an hour of TV over the weekend if I accomplish all of my goals for the week. So create something that is fun, that can motivate you to accomplish what you set out to do for that week. And again, whether it's going to Starbucks to treat yourself to a coffee or an extra hour of online or TV time, again, it does not need to be costly at all, but create those motivational pieces and those incentives that will keep you going and keep you accountable.
I love that. And here's the reality. I mean, I can apply this to my own life. We were talking about, students and young professionals, but this is also applied to, working adults who have been in their careers for a while, how to, continue maybe growth and career development over time.
Absolutely.
I'm thinking high school students, how to be able to motivate themselves, whether it's academically or starting to apply to colleges and narrowing down that selection and creating goals for themselves. Or like you said, young professionals that are really starting their careers and applying to places, to people like us that have been working for a while and we need to just establish some new goals.
Yes. Yeah. And I think again, going back to your gym example, the biggest goal is to start to work out, go into the gym, but then you break it down into smaller achievable goals, right? Driving to the parking lot, going inside,
So important. It's so important. Lee,
Right.
for listeners that want to get in contact with you, how can they find you?
Sure. You can find me on LinkedIn, and you can also reach out to me via email at leekramercoaching@gmail.com. I'm happy to speak with you and work with you. So, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Thank you so much. I look forward to doing more follow-ups with you. I love to be able to talk about these types of topics, as some of them are hot topics in what we're dealing with right now. I'm sure the listeners really appreciate your insight, tips, advice. So thank you, thank you.
Thank you, James, and thank you so much for doing this podcast. This is so important.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Lee. Take care.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Living Life with James. If you like this episode, please feel free to leave a review, subscribe. I look forward to more episodes with you. Remember, keep living your best life.